Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Girl Dad Show. I'm super stoked to have Alex with me today. Alex, what is going on, my brother?
A lot is going on. I just got back from Atlanta, but I'm excited to be here with you and talking about business, being a parent, all the above.
I love it. Let's jump right in. Why don't you tell the listeners what you do for a living?
Yep, so I'm the co-founder and CEO of Franzy. Think of it as a marketplace for buying and selling franchise businesses. So if anyone listening has ever wanted to buy a franchise or already owns one and wants to own a second or a third or a 15th, come to Franzy, check it out. We've got 4,000 brands on the platform. And if you're a brand trying to get yourself in front of other prospective franchisees, also check it out and reach out to us.
I love it. Yeah, and I can't wait to dive more into that business because I think this is a very unique and much needed business in the ecosystem. Again, I'm new to franchising. I've only been in it for 11 months, so bear with me as my naivety shows throughout the questioning. But I feel like this is a very, very needed service and definitely something that needs to be democratized very, very quickly here. So I'm really excited to dig into that. But can you talk to me a little bit about the conference you just came back from? Because I know we had to reschedule to like 3 or 4 hours delay, and you were like messaging me and talk to me about that. What was that? What was the conference for? And what? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was at the Franchise Leadership and Development Conference in Atlanta. And so like it's a bunch of franchisors, franchise development teams that are looking at new technologies or new ways to ultimately sell their brand to franchisees. And so for Franzy, it's a great event to get in front of brands and show them what we've built and how we can help them. And then, I mean, Charlotte and Atlanta, you know, it's fly, you drive, and I ended up staying longer this morning talking to people and had to make some pivots with time this afternoon.
Well, I'm so glad that we still made this work, man. I love the busy schedule, and I'm so curious why people move things, right? Because it's like something was very, very important, and I just love knowing things, and I guess I'm just a really nosy guy. Hey, all things considered, I will say for those people that are not able to watch, your hair looks great, man. I love it. I'm having major man envy here. It's awesome, dude. It looks good. You look like a lion.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'd never had long hair until now. I don't know if I'm having like a quarter life or midlife crisis, but I'm like, I'm growing the beard out. I'm growing the hair.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. I started growing my hair definitely at the midlife crisis. I should have just bought a motorcycle, but I started growing my hair out as well. So now my wife hates it. Yeah.
Longer hair is safer.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about Franzy real quick. So I know that you have a very rich history in franchising, but I would love for the listeners to know a little bit about how you came to Franzy. So do you mind, before we jump into Franzy, sharing a little bit about your work history and how it all started?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of how far back to go, but I mean, my first taste of entrepreneurship was in college. I did a laundry and dry cleaning, pickup and delivery business my freshman year, and just was hooked. Like I was in my financial modeling classes, like how many bags of laundry can I fit into a van? And they were talking about like how many passengers can Delta fit on a plane? And I was like, forget about that. How many bags of laundry can I fit? So I would take like adjacent things from the class and do it in this actual business. So I was hooked on it, ran it, grew it, sold it. And then I went and kind of sold my soul for a little bit to the corporate America. I was like, I'm going to go work for a Big Four consulting. Mom and dad will be very proud, and I'll learn a lot. It's going to be amazing. It'll be somewhat entrepreneurial because you're jumping from project to project with different teams. And I was like, all right, it'll be fine. And like 3 months in, I'm like, this sucks. This is so slow. This is so slow. And there's so much waste, and it's not as exciting. And why do they have junior consultants from New York City flying down to Charlotte and then sending junior consultants from Charlotte up to New York? Why don't they just stay there and I stay here? And this is ridiculous. Like I was just so upset with how it all worked.
So indignant. I love it. Yeah.
So I was like, I need to go do something entrepreneurial again. Like it's more fun to me. It feels like a competitive sport, and I don't know. It was just like, I loved it. And so I saw these Uber for X businesses pop up, Instacart, Ship2Wag, Rover, DoorDash, Postmates, and thought, all right, the convenience economy is here. Amazon has solidified that. Like there's going to be someone that does this for laundry and dry cleaning. People hate it. Why not me? Why don't I take what I did in college and do it on a larger scale? And so I started a brand called 2U Laundry in January of 2016. And over the course of an 8-year period, we raised $33 million in venture capital, launched a dozen or so cities, and then in 2018 started building physical laundromats out of necessity. We thought we could just outsource to mom and pops, and we were very wrong. They were not operators. They didn't have QA and process controls in place, et cetera. And so we started building our own physical stores. We did that through a partnership with Electrolux. And I'm getting back to your answer about like why Franzy. This will tie it together.
Yeah, take your
But so
time. I love it.
We open these stores and they knock it out of the park. They're open 7 days a week to the public, so lower income demographic coming into these beautiful, clean, safe, well lit, free Wi-Fi, comfortable laundromats.
Awesome.
And then
You like glamorized the laundromat. You made them clean and bright.
Starbucks, yeah.
That's awesome.
This is a place you should feel proud to come. And like I have story after story of that whole experience, but the model was 7 days a week, allow the public to have this really nice extension of their home, place to come do laundry. But then on Monday through Friday, when people are working and the laundromat's not busy, let's use it to produce all of our pickup and delivery volume, which is typically a higher income demographic. So you have customers on both ends of the spectrum being cleaned out of the same asset base and facility. So we're like, all right, this is the model. This works. We got to go open hundreds of these. And then we hit the next roadblock. Laundromats are not cheap. They're $1 million. There's a lot of equipment. So like, shit, how are we going to scale to hundreds of locations? Well, we can either take 20 years to do that and be the laundry guys forever, which I didn't want to do that. We could raise a bunch of outside capital, and then the other path was, well, what if we franchised the brick and mortar and layered the pickup and delivery on top, just like DoorDash or Postmates does to a quick service restaurant franchise, only we would be involved in both pieces. So we started franchising a subsidiary called Laundrolab in 2021. And we sold 118 locations in like 14 to 16 months.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a lot really quickly.
Wow.
So we pumped the brakes on selling them so that we could go focus on opening, site selection, instruction, training, marketing, all of the above. And that's where I got a taste of franchising and just seeing how the model works, what an FDD is, how to build out support systems, working with brokers, working with what's called an FSO, a franchise sales organization. And that's where the light bulb went off, was like, all these brands are just hemorrhaging franchise fees in commissions to brokers and FSOs, which left them with not a ton of cash to invest in all the things they need to invest in to support their franchisees. And the more I dug in, the more I realized there's got to be a way to democratize this and put more alignment between the franchisee or the individual buying the business and the franchisor. And that's where this idea for Franzy came of, open it up, make all the data accessible, and do what Zillow did with the MLS and do that for buying and selling franchises.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, Alex. I wish you did your third business in laundry again, because that would have been a much better story arc. You know what I mean? Laundry to a bigger scale, than something else in laundry. That would have been really cool.
Laundry in space.
Yeah, exactly. Like robots and AI and laundry, something like that. Just the continual evolution of laundry. But I'm just teasing you. I'm really happy that you went into Franzy instead, because I do agree with you. It is really eye-opening. The unit economics makes a lot of sense at scale. Like from what I see, because I'm also similar to you. I'm background in finance and operations. So like when you look at the macro, sure, it makes a lot of sense because you're getting the continual LTV, right? The royalties and all that stuff. So then you justify the initial cost, but when you're an emerging brand, it's like you need that initial capital to actually build the training infrastructure, operations infrastructure to even support that scale. So it's kind of like a misstep, right, in kind of justifications. And so I totally understand exactly what you're saying. And I see it intimately as well, too. And that's so funny that you saw that and then you immediately wanted to build Franzy.
Yeah, I didn't learn this until we got into it, but a lot of franchisors, emerging brands especially, aren't actually royalty break even or profitable until they have like 60 units or territories open. 60, like this isn't some small feat, get to 10, get to 20. Like you need to get to 60.
That's right.
Before all that infrastructure is covered by royalties. So franchisees listening, it's like the franchisor is not just this like money hungry, greedy organization. Like they're plowing every cent back into you. And so when 50% of that goes away, you just went from needing 60 units to more to cover that gap. But you might not even get to 60 if you don't find another way to capitalize and grow the business.
Yeah, so how is the model at Franzy different, if you don't mind me asking? Because I'm curious if you could break down the physics of it, because obviously there is the consultant network and then the FSO network. What is Franzy doing that's disruptive or democratizing?
Yeah, so when we were looking at this as a brand, we did 50 to 60% of our deals organically and the rest were through a broker. And I looked at this sales process. Let's say it's 10 steps from the moment someone approaches Young about buying a franchise or you wake up one morning and decide to do it. Those 10 steps, 7 of them are done within the brand, regardless of who's doing it. It's either the founders doing it, an internal sales rep, or an FSO. This is a franchise sales organization. They take a commission, but I think they really embed themselves. They have the polo on with the logo and email, like they're part of the team. And then there's the first 3 steps, which is really just kind of top of funnel lead gen.
Yeah.
Some light matchmaking and some light qualifying. Those are the steps where a broker is really involved, or it could be a Facebook ad or a podcast like this, or other channels. But taking a 50 to 60% commission for 2 or 3 steps, while they're important steps, aren't the lion's share of the conversation and selling, and not where the real relationship's being built. And so that's where the idea came of, how do we mimic these first few steps in the most capital efficient way possible? And so to answer your question, we looked at, what are the lead portals doing? Well, they're selling leads for $30 a pop. But that's an issue too, because now I'm incentivized to sell an email. If someone with a pulse and an email will send it over to the brand, and now the brand has 300 leads they have to go through, and so that's not aligned. That's not the right I think monetization plan either. We could charge a monthly subscription, but we're early. We haven't proven ourselves, so now we're charging brands $500 a month, $1,000 a month. What if the demand's not there? And so we wanted to avoid that. Broker networks will charge a $30,000 initiation fee in some instances, like for what though? Like we didn't want to do that either. And so what we do think the brokers got right is success based. Like we only get paid if we actually deliver value, which to a franchisor is a qualified, good franchisee. Mm-hmm. The issue I have with a percent commission is that there's this unspoken or maybe obvious incentive that if a brand has a $50K franchise fee and another one has a $30K franchisee, which brand is that sales rep going to want to push leads to if they're making a percentage? They're going to push this, even if it's not the right fit. So now you have this kind of moral dilemma.
That's right.
Individuals might not be getting good advice. So we didn't want to do percent either. So our model is it's a flat dollar amount across all brands. We get paid the same regardless. And it's about half of what a broker will make. And so it's substantially reduced. And then we monetize off of other referral partners. So loan originations, getting 100 to 200 basis points. Do you need a franchise CPA? Do you need your entity formed? Our goal is to build an ecosystem where we're monetizing in other ways so that we don't have to be reliant on hemorrhaging or siphoning cash off of the brand, because that franchise fee really should be being invested in training, marketing, support, etc.
I love the thought leadership, man. That's awesome. It's like you found a problem, you've identified what you like and don't like, and you have a thesis and you're applying it. That's great, man.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm all about it. So thank you for breaking that down. That's really helpful for me. I mean, I had a gist of what you were trying to build, but it's really nice to hear it from the horse's mouth, Mm-hmm. It's very distracting with your cool hair, so it's hard to sift through the brains behind that, So talk to me about when you became a dad. So when did that all happen? Timing with Franzy.
4.5 months ago. So I'm still new to this world. And
that's awesome.
At the beginning of the conversation, you're like, it's 2 parents talking. I'm like, I'm not I am a parent. It's still like foreign to me. I don't know when it's going to officially click. I think I've decided I'm just going to be a kid forever, and this part of growing up, it still doesn't feel real all the time. But it's been awesome, beautiful, exhausting journey so far.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's like the best parts. I will say, it's one of the parts of parenting that I have the least amount of memory around. It's let me take that back. I don't recall the specifics during the first 2 years. I literally cannot for the life of me, because I was so exhausted. I was just constantly in a state of just exhaustion and tiredness that I don't have clear specific memories during the first 2 years, but I do remember those first 2 years incredibly fondly. It was very nice. It was very warm. It was very fulfilling, and it was very soulful. All of those elements that are wholesome and nice. But I don't remember anything specific because I was so tired. Hopefully that helps you. But I'm curious, do you feel the same way, or do you actually disagree with that?
I feel like I'm in a fog a lot of the times. But then the crazy thing is your brain will kick into overdrive at the random moments, and you're like, I just said something smarter than I've ever said, or I was more dialed in than I've ever been, but I'm running on perpetually no sleep or low sleep. Like I'll share one story. When we were raising our seed round of capital, like right when my son Luca was born, like the leading up to the few weeks after, like the round was coming together, working to lead investors, we're sort of herding the cats. And I remember talking to one VC that I really liked a lot. They're out of Raleigh, and I really wanted them to get involved. And this was like 2 weeks after Luca was born. So I'm like in the thick of it where we're waking up every hour. Like I don't know where I am. I don't know what I think it is. And like they know that I just had a kid, and so like there's probably some grace. And I'm on this call with them, and I just like pitched. I'm bragging a little bit. I pitched the hell out of them. It was the story was great. I like hit every point. It was to the point I felt like that scene in what movie is it with Will Ferrell where he's on the debate team and he just says this perfect thing, and then he's like, "I blacked out. What just happened?"
I don't remember. I know what you're talking about, though. That's awesome.
Old school.
Old school. Yeah, that's right.
And it was like that at the end. I just was like, what did I just say? And one of the partners at the fund was like, "Are you sure you just had a kid?" I'm like, "Yeah, two weeks ago." And he's like, "I don't know how you just said what you just said." that was, I get what you're doing. I see the vision. Like you're clearly dialed in. Like, basically we're in on the spot. And I was like, yes, all right, it worked. But it's crazy how the brain works and that you can actually survive on no sleep. Because I remember the first night back at home with Luca, we're up at like 4 a.m. My wife were already had been at the hospital for 5 days or whatever because she had a C-section, and I'd look at her at 3 a.m. and I'm like, this is unsustainable. we I was like, we need to hire someone or do something.
It is so bad. It is so bad. Like, it's so hard to explain to non-parents, and just like, no. It's like the worst you've ever done, like all-nighters and whatever. And then twice as much. Like, it's literally the same thing as like sleep torture. Cause it's like 45 minutes of sleep and then you have to wake up. It's like the worst.
With a human being that is depending on you to keep it alive. It's like so much pressure and like so much at stake. You're like, I need to feed him and not let him accidentally kill himself.
I know. It's so crazy. I know. It's so much worse than you can possibly imagine to bear. Yeah, the body is very resilient.
Do this?
My question to you is, was this all thought out? What did your wife think when you were starting Franzy, and also like, having a kid? And what was the timing and discussions like? Walk me through the idea of starting another company while you're starting a family with a kid in it.
Well, so to sum it up in one anecdote, at her and I wedding, my brother gave a speech at the groom's dinner, and the theme of the speech was, you guys need to slow down a little bit. It's like, stop saying yes to everything. And so like that sums her and I's kind of personalities and relationship up. It's just like, go. Yeah, let's do this. These friends of ours are in Puerto Rico. Let's go. It's next week. Or let's start a business. Let's go have a kid. It's just, we're very like, say yes and then figure it out as we go. And that comes back to bite you bite you sometimes, because then you're exhausted and you've got 18 responsibilities and you should only have 4. But so we were very much of the mindset of, we know we want to have kids. I think we'd love to have a lot of them, but our thing has been like, you have to have enough money and time, I think, if you really want to, if we want to do it the way that we want to do it. And everyone's different and has their own kind of goals and plans. But her and I were, I want to be able to, if I have the option to, not have to work by the time I'm 40. I'm 33, because I want to be really around and present, but work if I want to on startup things or investing and helping and advising startups. But that means I got to sacrifice a lot right now and give up a lot right now to get there. And that was kind of hers and I's understanding, is she's going to hold down the fort and be a very present mom and parent. And I probably have to give up some of that a little bit here in the early days, but hopefully get to make up for it a couple of years from now when I'm less busy and much more present as he gets older and future kids get older.
I love it. We've never actually talked about this in the few conversations we've had, but that's literally the same journey that I'm on right now. Did you know that?
I love it. I did not know that.
Yeah, but I think mine's a little bit more specific, because I don't say yes to everything. But mine is a 5-year sprint, and I talked to my wife about it, and we have a really, really clear expectation and agreement on how long I'm going to do this for. I need to slow down and stop kids, but the idea is, if I can build really hard for 5 years, I should be able to provide at least some sort of like level of freedom, right? Even if it's partial, the ability to step away for 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week and have that flexibility. And that was really important to me, because this kid literally changed my life. The moment they were born, I looked at this little face and I'm just like, I'm a completely different human being. Is that what happened to you, or walk me through what made you make this decision?
So I think it was pretty early in my life, before Luca was even born. I just remember growing up. I grew up in a really small town, 15,000 people. But my dad was, pretty successful financial advisor, and we're in the small town, and so he was kind of like a big fish in a small pond. And I got constant reminders going to this. We only had one school we could go to. There was all sorts of walks of life there, but most of my friends' families were kind of either lower class or lower middle class, and like we were going on these trips as a family, and like they weren't getting to do that. It just was always in my face that, hey, there's 2 or 3 different ways to live a life, and this one seems to be much more flexible and experiential and enjoyable. Not that you can't have a happy life in a different financial situation, but this just felt more free and more of a full life. And I knew I wanted to be able to provide that to my future family. When I was like 16, I think I thought that. I was like, I know I'm going to have kids someday. I know I'm going to do this, and the work for those kids and this family starts now. Like at 16, I was like, I got to start putting in the work now. I got to go learn as much as I can, work as hard as I can, because I'll pay for it later if I don't. And it's not fair that if I have these kids that I don't set them up to have a similar experience that I've had growing up. And so it was really early on, I was just like, let's go. This is life, and I'm going to live a full one.
Wow. That's awesome, man. I don't even want to tell you what I was thinking and doing at 16 now, because no, it just doesn't even...
I was still being an idiot and
okay.
Okay. On weekends sometimes. I was still doing that, but I also was like, play hard, work
you
hard.
knew
Like,
you had an acute awareness of the path that you could take and the compounding effect of time and energy. That's really interesting, man. That's very, very interesting. Was your dad a financial advisor for a firm, or was he independent? Was he an entrepreneur? Walk me through how you became an entrepreneur and who around you kind of inspired that.
Yeah, so my dad grew up dirt poor outside of Pittsburgh. Like, he paid his way through college. He went to community college and then this and that. And I think he just early on was like, I don't want to live like this either. And so that's where I think his motivation came from. And so just hearing his story and growing up watching him, he would bust his butt fall through spring, and then he'd golf all summer long. And I'm like, how are you doing this? All my friends' parents are working. And he's like, look, Alex, there's 3 careers you can have. You can either work for someone else, you can work for yourself, or you can have people working for you. And he's like, if you want financial, and time, flexibility and freedom, you got to be in one of the latter 2 buckets. Either you got to work for yourself, which is what he did, 100% commission, no base salary, ate what he killed, sales guy, financial advisor, which allowed him to work hard in the winter when it's kind of cold and depressing.
Crummy outside. Yeah, exactly.
In the summer, he could do whatever he wanted, because it didn't matter if he didn't bring a paycheck in for a few months, because he compressed it all into a different part of the year. And so that always just stuck with me, is like watching him and like seeing him live that dream of his and that lifestyle and the ability to be that flexible. I knew I was going to go do something either for myself in sales or entrepreneurial, building something and having a team, with me, scaling a business and working in that kind of capacity.
That's awesome. I've never heard anyone break it down like that either, by the way. So it's either you work for someone else, you work for yourself, or you have people work for you.
Yep.
It's usually just the 2. So it's interesting that he divided up entrepreneurship, and he like created a subset of that as a salesperson, someone that could do it based on commission only, right? Like eat what you kill level type of roles. And that is really interesting, because there's quite a few of those. And I don't think we actually constitute that as typically a choice or a subset of entrepreneurship, but that's absolutely the case. That's actually really interesting. I like that carve out. That's very clever. So what does he think about you being an entrepreneur?
He loves it. I mean, they're super proud, and it was hard actually at first, because when I was telling them I was going to leave EY, they helped raise me, and you go to this good college, you've got good grades most of your life, and now you have this Big 4 brand name job, and like there's like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
gravitas. Yeah. Security, like, gravitas. Yeah. There's like
you're going to leave to go start a laundry company? What the hell's wrong with you? So at first they were like, I think they weren't supportive. I think they were just worried about me. Like they were like, you're going to go leave. Like, what if it doesn't work and no one hires you back? And you're like the guy who fumbled the like good job out of college and for this dumb thing. And once we started showing how hard we were working at it, and we were 24, not going out on weekends anymore. Like all the early 20s that had money now were going to the bars, and we couldn't afford to do that because we were working on this and not making an income. And I think once they saw how committed and serious we were about it, they're like, all right, they're destined to go grind this out and go for it. Like, how do we support you? And it changed. I think it became much more of them being proud versus worried. They're like, all right, they're gonna will this to be one way or another.
That's amazing. I didn't realize you were doing that at such a young age. That's wonderful, man. That's incredible. I will tell you just anecdotally and just more for if your parents ever listen to this, but I'm 45. And so I told my mom after I had a W-2 job before I decided to leave San Francisco and move to Texas. And I told her I'm going to quit my job and start my own, consulting practice. And I kid you not, she's like, okay, thanks for letting me know. I'll talk to dad and we'll get back to you and let you know what we think. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not asking for permission. I'm calling to tell you that this is happening. She's like, yeah, honey, I hear you. I'm going to talk to dad and we'll get back to you on what we think you should do next. And like, literally, I'm like, Mom, you know, I'm 40 years old, right? Like, I'm not asking for permission. I'm literally calling to just let you know that I'm leaving California. Like I'm not asking, like I'm telling. And we still ended the call with her going, okay, honey, I'll let you know what mom and dad think you should do. And so for whatever it's worth, just know I think that's going to be something that they'll always think of you as, you'll always be their baby and they'll always want to protect you and keep you safe. And I empathize with that so much now as a parent. And I think that I can totally understand why they have that mindset, because I don't know if I'll ever stop loving and wanting to keep my kids safe no matter how old they get. But that is very, very cool that you have that experience. Talk to me about your wife. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
What did they report back to you? I'm curious. Did they ever call me like, all right, the committee, the board decided that
Oh, yeah. They said no. They said it's a bad idea. Yeah, they were like, it's a bad idea. You should stay and keep your W-2 job and just like grind it out. And, you're in like, your good socioeconomic status. You just bought a house. Like, you're doing all the things, all the check marks, right? Just stay there and like build equity and like, yeah. I mean, by that point, I'd already packed up the house and was already caravanning, across the country with my family. Of like dollar late, day short, mom. But yeah, so that's the answer to that. But talk to me a little bit about your wife through this journey, because it sounds like you guys are both kind of free spirited. You guys are both a little bit of free spirits and spontaneous, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's honestly like when we first met, our second date, I have a bit of a sense of humor and. Yeah, I will sometimes say things that I don't fully mean, but
I can see that.
See if I get a reaction out of people. And so we're having dinner, and I'm like, I forget how it got brought up. I think it was like, oh, what's some of the like, most adventurous things you've ever done, or is there any like things you've wanted to do in your life that you haven't done yet? I don't know, questions like that. And one of us brought up skydiving, and I like tongue in cheek was like, let's go skydiving next Friday, and I'm terrified of heights. And I thought, oh, I just met this person. They're not going to jump out of a plane with me next week. We met twice. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. That sounds amazing. Let's go skydiving. So I was like, well, now I have to say that. I look like a baby or something. I look like I don't know. I gotta do this now. So sure enough, on our third date, we went skydiving and jumped out of a plane together.
Oh my gosh.
And that's kind of been a lot of our relationship. When I proposed to her, we went skydiving again, and I was at the bottom waiting with, will you marry me? But she also works really hard and is focused too. I think like I am. She, is in the legal field, and it's been an adjustment as she tries to figure out like I want to be present with Luca and be raising him, but at the same time has her own kind of individual and career aspirations and goals. And so it's I think an ongoing just figuring it out as we go. I think for now it's like chunk at a time. Like she's like, I know I want to be home with them through the end of the year. So then let's revisit that. We do like annual planning together every year of like what are our household goals. Like we basically have OKRs. Like a company has objectives and key results. We have like household OKRs. Of like,
that's great.
I want to get this fit. Like it's measurable, and like we talk about it together. And then we have a little like family meeting every Sunday and talk through it all and see how we can support each other. And
that's amazing. I freaking love that. That's probably really healthy, actually. It's probably really good. So good.
So good.
Now here's the $1 million question. Are you going to include your kid into those OKR discussions as they get older?
I think so. Like I want to find, and maybe it's not as like business and rigid because we can have fun doing it, I think. But I remember growing up, my parents almost unintentionally did that. They weren't as like structured maybe from a corporate perspective. Like my dad was a financial advisor. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. But every night there were kind of these conversations of, like, what do you want out of life? And like, what are you doing? What's the plan this week? And how do we help you? And it was kind of like those types of conversations. So I want to find a way to help instill some of that kind of like desire and goal setting and you can do anything if you set your mind to it type of conversations, as long as there's a plan and measurable outcomes, and without it being too like militant or military like, where it's like, all right, we got to hit our OKRs this quarter, otherwise no playtime.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's the fun thing about moving these, performative systems into personal life. I love it. I think it's great, but it's also kind of funny and humorous when you actually try to apply it in real common day life. And yeah,
You're fired as a kid. You're a typical teenager.
the thing that makes my family laugh, my immediate family, my brothers and sisters, is my dad doesn't know how to shut off. Like, he's always in work mode. And so we'll go on vacation and he'll literally be like walking like 50 yards ahead of us, like just like outpacing us, like getting to the destination so fast. And then he'll turn around with his itinerary. It's like, it says we're supposed to be having fun. Are you guys having fun? And we're like, what the heck is going on? Like, take it down 6 notches, bro. Yeah, it's like, it's fine. It's fine. We're all having fun. Like, you don't have to time it. It's okay. So good. All right. So let me keep this focused, because this is really funny conversation. But do you want your kids to be entrepreneurs? And I said plural. Sorry. I just assumed you're going to have more.
Yeah, no, we definitely do have more. And I don't know if this is right yet. I think I'm still trying to figure this part out, myself. But I think it's like, for me, the North Star metric for life, and I think like the founding fathers got this right, is it's happiness. Like, I want to live a happy life. I know it can't be happy forever. There's gonna be sad moments and lulls and all that, but like, as much happiness as I can maximize, that's what I want to do. And I think I want to instill that kind of first and foremost in our children, is like, do what makes you happy. Like, it doesn't have to be like, business genuinely makes me happy. It's a fun game. There's problem solving. It's stimulating. You get to work with people. You get to build teams. I love all of that. It's like, I genuinely enjoy doing it. It makes me happy. If it didn't, though, I should find something else. And I think that's what I want to instill in them. If it's music, like, go figure it out. But if you're going to do something, be good. Like, do it. Like, do it fully. And ideally, it makes you happy enough, and it has this cycle. Like, it makes you so happy you want to do it all the time, and you get good at it, and the better you get, the happier it makes you. And it kind of fills that circle. So for me, it's not necessarily business or entrepreneurship. I'd love it if they did, because it's brought me so much joy. But
yeah,
if it doesn't fill them up the same way it does for me, I'm not going to try to force that on them either.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I love that. And I do think it's really cool that you're focusing on happiness as your North Star for life. That is very, very good. It took me a long time to figure out that aspect of it. And so that is a very similar goal for me as well too, and it's always been kind of money, to be fully transparent. And then more recently, I've pivoted it to happiness. It's like, just be happy with what you have. And if you don't like what you have, start changing stuff about yourself until you're happy. And so I love that you have that already at such a young age. I love it. I'm just making fun of you because you said you're 30, you're 33.
I think you'll find this interesting. At one point I was trying to measure, like, once I figured out happiness was it for me, I was like, how do I measure that? Like, what is happiness?
Yeah.
And I stumbled across, I forget if it was an article or where it was, but someone tried to define happiness, and it was essentially the difference between your expectations and your reality.
Yeah.
So if you expect this, like, multiple houses and a private jet, but your reality is you live in a trailer, like, you're going to be really unhappy because your deltas. But if your expectation of life was like, I want to be healthy, I want to spend time with friends and family, and like, make enough money to not be too worried about it. And it's like kind of a maybe lower bar. And then your reality becomes, holy shit, I've started all these businesses and I have more money than I've ever thought. And like, I got bigger, friends and better friends than I thought. Like, now your reality far surpassed your expectations. And so you're probably like very happy because it's not. And so like the goal for me, or the takeaway out of that, was try to find a way to lower expectations in a way and like be happier with less. And then just do the work and do your part to control the reality. And if it exceeds it, you're gonna be the happiest person around because you did more than you ever expected of yourself and of your life. I love that definition, or like way to define it.
That's great, man. I love that too. I think that's a really good way to design it. I had someone on the show that told me that it's really based around perspective and gratitude. So I feel like those are the two components that you're talking about, right? It's like the perspective of reality versus ideation, and then being grateful for what it is that you do have. He said that happiness was basically a combination of those two things. And that's really stuck with me as well. But I do like your perspective as well, too. It's very, very interesting. And I think that it's so important to do that because, this is something that I learned, more recently as my kids have gotten older. But unfortunately, you have to also learn how to be happy and to instill that kind of like desire for your kids to want to be happy, because they'll role model off of you. Like,
Yep.
you can't just tell them like, hey, I don't care what you do, I want you to be happy. You have to like literally, you have to literally live that. You have to be a good human. You can't just tell them to be a good human. You have to like
Yep.
role model it, unfortunately, because these little monsters don't listen, they watch. Yeah, so
And
it's kind of
they're
a
so
journey.
smart and absorb everything.
Yeah,
It is
exactly,
it
exactly.
is so true.
So what does success look like for you now? I mean, if it sounds like you have the North Star for happiness, but is there anything that you're trying to strive for in the next 3 to 5 years as it relates to business and as a new dad, as a father and family man?
Yeah, so I think on the like business side, like I got into a point, I had a little bit of success in the last business and had somewhat of a liquidity event and pulled some money out, but it wasn't like game over, like your life, is complete,
Mm-hmm.
kind of outcome either. So from a business perspective, like I want to build a huge business, get it over 100, 200, 300 million dollar enterprise value.
Let's go.
Have a
Yes.
liquidity event and be done financially, but not because I want to go buy like cars and boats and things. Like I just want to have pure freedom and flexibility of time. Like that's what's driving it. And then honestly, with money like that, and I've done it a little bit with some of the money that I pulled out of the last businesses. I just want to go help my circle of people. Is that if that's a family member that's struggling with something, help them with it, or let's go have experiences with my parents. They're getting older, and like go take my dad on a cool golf trip that he might not have otherwise done on his own. It's things like that that get me really, that make me happy and fulfilled. So that's, I think, from like a financial business perspective. Health perspective, like, I want to not be so like tired and fat feeling all the time. It's like, maybe that never goes away now.
It gets worse, man. It gets worse. Yeah. 30, wait till you're 35. Everything slows down. It slows down even more than you're feeling right now, man. It's the
Oh,
worst.
man.
Yeah. I
Oh,
wake up
man.
with like heartburn and headaches now. I used to be able to eat cheeseburgers until midnight until I was like 30. Yeah. I was like, wake up fine. Now I'm like, oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, you could eat the wrong
So
food and it's like everything
I gotta
slows
get
down.
those habits dialed in. So like that's top of mind the next few years. And then with my wife and son, just being as present as I possibly can, being a good role model. And then spending time, especially I think when and where some people listening to this would probably disagree with it because I've had friends, other couples disagree with what I'm about to say, but I think more than anything right now, like Luca needs like a mom, like she can feed him. She's showing like love and safety and nurturing. I can show love and safety for sure, but if I didn't exist for a few weeks, like he'd be fine. If she did it, it would be like like nightmare zone. Like I could, yeah, sure, go get formula and try. The baby needs a mom. Like it needs their mom. It's so important. I think this like first year,
I'm
especially, and so.
I'm so surprised that we are not like we haven't talked more. We're not closer because like literally everything you're saying that you think is controversial is the same stuff that I say. Like I literally say that I said the same thing too. I'm like I don't even feel like I connected with my kid until they were one. Like
Yes.
I feel like they just take, and I'm like I need some sort of transaction here. Like you could easily be doing this with mom than me. Like and you really need mom because she's making milk and.
Right.
And so, yeah, but I didn't really feel connected to my kid until they turned one and they were actually like interacting with me.
That is the best advice someone thankfully gave me, but it was like the day before, 2 days before Luca was born. I'd ask and I'm like a total sponge. I'll ask, I know Young's good at this thing, so I'm going to seek you out. I'd be like, hey, how do I learn this? What is your point of view on this? And so I did the same thing with parenting. I like asked all these dads that I thought, would have good advice or were entrepreneurial, like as an entrepreneur and a dad, how do you do it? Like, so I'm soaking all this information and I get all these tactical, practical tips and advice. No one told me the advice that I'm about to share. And you just said it was a person said, Alex, if when he's bored, you don't cry or you don't get emotional or you don't feel a connection, like nothing's wrong with you. You're not a bad person. You're not this like emotionless machine or whatever. It's just, it's different for the guy. Like you weren't growing this thing forever. And for some dads, it might take 5 months, 8 months. The guy that was telling me, he's like, it took me like 6 months. At first, I was like, this thing ruined our lives. we were so free before. We could do whatever we wanted. And now it's like we're always on the beck and call. This thing that doesn't, you do what it wants and then it screams in your ear and your face. And so yeah, it took him 6 months. And I'm really glad that he said that because I could totally see where that feeling could happen. And I would have been in my head so like self-conscious about something's wrong with me. I need to go see a shrink. I'm like a terrible person.
Totally. Isn't
I'm
that so funny that no one talks about this? Yeah, I mean,
I'm telling everyone I possibly can. I'm like, you gotta hear about this.
That's right. Like it took me a year. like I didn't really feel connected until they actually started to like laugh at my like tickling, and like they actually gave me some sort of transaction back. Like I
Yeah.
could not process it for some reason. I felt like a robot. I felt like inhuman, and yeah, it was really odd. And then it clicked, right? So then I knew I wasn't a terrible being. But that's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that story, and I appreciate you being so vulnerable and sharing your hot takes, even though your friends disagree with you. That's awesome. So I do want to keep everything on time here, so I know you're really busy. So let me ask you my rapid fire questions that I like to ask every guest, and then I'll get you on your merry way. Okay?
All right.
And now that you're a veteran dad, 4.5 months, I mean, you know everything, right? One piece of advice you have for other parents or soon-to-be parents.
I mean, definitely the one we just talked about. It's like things are going to take time. One of my favorite other pieces of advice was that, and this isn't, I guess I'm going to take this and recycle it, but this kindergarten teacher said they have this, 20 students, and they can't tell who was breastfed or bottle fed or formula fed, who used a pacifier, who didn't, who slept in the room. She's like, but they can tell the kids that were shown love and empathy and kindness. And so as you're getting into it and you hear all the hot debates of pacifier versus not or whatever, like it truly is cliche, but like do what works for you guys and know that you're not going to mess it up. You'd have to really, really do something wrong to mess it up. And so give yourself a break and don't put too much pressure behind some of these decisions that in the grand scheme of things aren't going to matter.
Great advice. Holy cow, that's great advice. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's just so funny how we expect everyone to be so good at this. It's like, dude, we're all learning it. No one comes out going, I already know how to be a parent, and then they're a parent. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, great advice.
So give yourself some grace.
Yeah. What's the one thing that you were surprised about yourself after becoming a parent?
I think the ability to like go into this other gear or overdrive, because you'd think like, all right, you have all this stress, whether it's at work or home or whatever pressure you might be thing that you're dealing with, and you think, all right, adding a child on top of this is going to make this all like more stressful and more pressure. Like it does to a degree, but your ability, your brain and your body's ability to adapt and push through that and do what you need to do to be a parent, a good parent for that child, but also still perform in your day-to-day life and for yourself. Like you figure it out, and that surprised me. I was like terrified of like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this, and I need 8 hours of sleep, and I'm now never gonna get it again, and I'll just be a pile of mush for the rest of my life. And there's days you feel like that for sure, but it's surprising, like again, how much you can adapt. I was shocked by that.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. That is very surprising. All right, so do you have a favorite book or podcast or show?
Favorite book, podcast, or show? One of my favorite, and I know it's a cliche or like well-known one, but I love the How I Built It, 0 to 1. And I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but it's a series of notes a Stanford student took when Peter Thiel was guest lecturing for like a business class.
Oh, I did not know that.
He wrote like 200 pages of notes. Like he was just getting every word. And he emailed Peter Thiel after and was like thanking him. He's like, I took all these notes. And Peter looked at it. He's like, you basically just wrote a book. We should publish this together. That's the 0 to 1 or the notes from that lecture. It is gold for people starting a business. The lessons, the hacks, ways to do it quickly with limited resources and time and everything going against you, which is why 90% of these startups never make it. And I think it's a good guidebook for how can I be in that 10% that makes it and figures it out.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's a good one. And then to bring us home, when you're not being a new dad, figuring it out while you're being spontaneous, building Franzy, the next disruptive big business in franchising. What does Alex do for fun? What are just your downtime activities, if you even have any right now?
Yeah, it's very infrequent, and I know I got two answers. One is I do love working. Like I truly find joy. So I'll come in to the office some Saturdays and Sundays, and like it's fun. I'm like, all right, I'm back in the game. I'm in the arena, so I love doing that. But if it's purely outside of work, outside of being a dad, like I love board games. I love playing Catan and like cards and Yahtzee and like I don't know if it's the competitive part again, but I just love games. I could play games forever with anyone and just go back and forth spending hours doing
that's awesome. You're a puzzler. You like puzzles. You like strategy. Yeah. Oh, that's great, man. I love it. Yeah, and you have cool hair. It's all coming together, man. You're a triple threat. I like it. Alex, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're super busy building this really cool startup and also being a new dad. I can't even imagine how precious this time is. So I can't thank you enough for spending an hour with me to talk about your journey and your story and most importantly, your perspective, man.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, you're in it too. You're also a busy dad, and I think giving a platform. I like this theme and this angle as well. It's refreshing. Instead of just like, all right, here's all the business stuff, it's humanizing it and showing, hey, there's parts that are tough, and we're all going through it together. And I think it makes, if it makes one person a little less lonely or uncertain of themselves or more certain of themselves listening, like it's a great platform that you put together. And
Oh, thanks, man, for saying that. I appreciate that. I feel so heard and validated. Thank you. Alex, we'll talk soon, man.
Road to 100.
Road to 100, exactly. Alex, we'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah.